Ava. The final echo of the previous class lecture still rang in my head as I shoved my notebook into my backpack and checked the time on my phone. 5:48, which meant I had exactly 12 minutes to get across town to the diner before I'd be late again. My boss had already warned me that if I came dragging in past 6 one more time, I'd be bussing tables instead of waiting them. Don't run! Don't run! I muttered to myself as I jogged anyway, weaving through the crowd of students, spilling out of the humanities building. My sneakers slapped the pavement, my ponytail smacked between my shoulders, and the late September air was cool enough to sting my lungs. The bus stop was already crowded, and waiting wasn't an option, so I cut through the side streets, legs pumping harder. I wasn't built for athletics. I was built for caffeine, sarcasm, and just enough stubbornness to stay alive in both college and a food service job. Still, I made it. 6 on the dot. The little bell over the diner's glass door jingled as I pushed in. A wall of smells hit me. Coffee, grease, pie crust, and fried onions. The signature perfume of Mel's Diner. The fluorescent lights buzzed. The floor gleamed with its permanent layer of waxy grime. And the booths were filling up with regulars who didn't need menus anymore. Cutting it close again. "Ava!" called Jessie, another waitress from behind the counter. Her lipstick was already smudged, her eyeliner perfect. She lived for drama. Work gossip was her oxygen. Yeah, I said, tying on my apron. But technically, I'm not late, she smirked, chewing her gum. Technically, Mr. Bailey's already in his booth, and you know he'll tattle if you don't bring his coffee before you even clock in. I groaned, but she wasn't wrong. Mr. Bailey was 87, a retired math teacher, and my self-appointed supervisor. He came in at exactly 6:02 every evening for his booth and acted like my promptness was a matter of life or death. The man didn't need a watch. He had me. On it, I sighed, and grabbed a fresh pot of coffee. As I crossed the floor, weaving between tables, I caught snippets of conversation. Laughter, silverware clinking, the static from the little wall-mounted TV near the counter. But underneath all that, there was something sharper. Voices from the street outside, way too clear considering the windows were shut. A guy asking if someone had jumper cables. A girl complaining about her boyfriend's cheap cologne. It wasn't new. My hearing had always been off. Too sharp sometimes, too selective at others. Mom used to call it selective hearing when I was a kid, which made it sound like I was just ignoring her. I'd mostly learned to tune it out, but sometimes it slipped through like tonight. I set the mug in front of Mr. Bailey before he could look at his watch and got a grunt of approval. Mission accomplished. By 7, the place was hopping. I was balancing plates on my arm, scribbling orders, flashing my best fake smile. Between customers, I'd sneak glances at my notes shoved under the counter. A mess of highlighted definitions from Psych 201. The exam tomorrow was going to murder me, but tips tonight would pay for next semester's books. My stomach twisted at the thought of the rent bill, waiting at home. "Table 4 wants refills," Jessie called, dumping her tray by the dishwasher. "And they want you, not me. Guess you're the favorite." "Lucky me," I muttered, and went. Halfway there, a weird vibration tickled the edge of my awareness. Not sound exactly, more like pressure, the way the air gets before a storm. I shook it off and plastered on a smile for table 4, joking with them while pouring sweet tea. But the sensation didn't go away. It grew stronger, like the room was humming around me. The hair on my arms rose, goosebumps prickling, and I had the strangest urge to step outside. Like something was waiting. I told myself I was being ridiculous. Probably low blood sugar. I hadn't eaten since noon. Then the fire alarm went off across the street. The shrill wail sliced through the diner, and everyone's heads jerked toward the windows. Red light flashed against the glass, and a dark plume of smoke curled into the dusky sky. Holy crap, Jessie whispered. That's the apartment building. Half the customers were already out of their booths, pressing against the glass, or spilling onto the sidewalk. I grabbed a tray to look busy, heart thudding, but my eyes fixed on the street as the sirens wailed closer. And that's when I saw them. The fire truck screamed to a halt, and the firefighters leapt down, hauling gear with practiced urgency. Helmets, jackets, axes. They were a blur of motion and authority. But my gaze caught on one, tall, broad shoulders under heavy gear, dark hair damp with sweat, plastered to his forehead. His jaw was cut sharp enough to slice steel. His eyes met mine across the street, and the world stuttered. Heat surged through me. Not embarrassment, not attraction. Something raw and feral. My lungs forgot how to work. The noise around me faded into static. It was just him, and the way my pulse thundered, like it was answering his. He looked at me like he recognized me, like I wasn't a stranger at all. Then someone shouted his name. Too far away for me to hear. Yet I did. Luca! He turned back to his crew, breaking whatever that was, and I nearly dropped the tray in my hands. My palms tingled like I'd touched a live wire. My knees wanted to give out. What the hell was that? Then, mate! The word cracked through my head like a whip. But it wasn't my thought. It was a voice. Female. Husky. And smug as hell. Okay, losing it, I whispered, clutching the booth's edge so I didn't fall. Oh, you're not losing it, honey. You're gaining it. Him. Did you see the shoulders on that one? My mouth dropped open. Who? What? Seriously? I'm your wolf. You know, the growly part you've been ignoring your entire life. Surprise. And you're welcome. Because that man, a throaty purr rolled through my mind, is ours. I blinked hard, trying to reset my brain. Nope, I'm hallucinating. Too much coffee, not enough sleep. Or, she said, sounding unbearably smug, maybe your DNA finally decided to ring the doorbell. Hate to break it to you, sunshine, but this isn't caffeine jitters. That's your mate out there, and I am living for this. I don't even know him, I hissed, hugging the tray to my chest. Then let's get to know him. I bet he has a great laugh. And abs. Definitely abs. I can smell abs. Abs don't have a smell. His do. I choked on a laugh, earning a side eye from Jessie behind the counter. I waved her off, pretending I'd spilled something, while inside my skull, my life was unraveling. Stop pretending you're not into this. Your heart's practically trying to claw its way out of your chest just to get to him. Shut up, I muttered. Make me. Before I could fire back, someone shouted from the street. Luca! The firefighter, Luca, turned at the sound, hefted an axe, and vanished into the smoke-choked stairwell like it was nothing. My wolf practically fanned herself. Oh, brave, hot, checks all my boxes. Tell me we're keeping him. He's not a stray puppy, I snapped. We're not keeping anyone. Correction. He's a firefighter-shaped gift from the universe. And the bond says he's ours. Do you really want to argue with destiny? Because, spoiler alert, destiny wins. My stomach flipped as the acrid scent of smoke wafted stronger through the diner's vents, and I realized my hands were shaking. This is insane. I'm going insane. Nope, you're just finally paying attention. Took you long enough. I've been stuck watching reruns of your boring human routine for years. At least now we've got some action. Jessie grabbed my arm suddenly. Whoa, Ava, you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. Dizzy, I stammered, forcing a laugh that was too high-pitched to sound normal. Forgot to eat. Girl, you need sugar, Jessie said, already fishing for a Coke behind the counter. I nodded, pretending to be grateful, while inside my skull, my wolf was still pacing like a caffeinated cheerleader. Forget sugar. What you need is to get closer to our firefighter before he walks out of here, and we miss our chance. Trust me, you'll regret it forever. Forever!" The word dug into me, hot and terrifying, because deep down, I already knew she was right.